What's up guys, this is It's Me 64 and today I'm quickly going to be recapping the 1.17 update for you guys because, I thought I might do it. 1.17 is just released, and before you guys start saying it in the comments section, I know this is not a 1.17 cave, it's an absolutely useless cave, but I spawned here, so I guess I'm going to be recording the video here. Because chunk base is not updated yet, so I can't really find a big, cool, huge mountain yet, so I'm gonna have to do it with the old mountain generation then, I guess. Anyway, today I'm just mainly going to be covering all the new items, as you can see on my hotbar already. So let's start right off. Of course, we have the axolotl, which can be put in a bucket and is your newest friend. It can be considered just like a wolf or anything else you can tame, like a cat, but then for inside of the water. And they can also be outside the water, but then they'll be very slow and they'll eventually die. So go on, get back in the water. Anyway, next up you have the copper, which will oxidize slowly over time. And as you can see, it'll turn sort of greenish color, and then with an axe you'll be able to scrape back the oxidization off again. You can also craft a lightning rod with copper, which can be used for example, a charged creeper farm, but it can also just, if you have, for example, a wool roof on your house, it can stop the wool from catching fire if there's a thunderstorm, and the lightning will get redirected to the lightning rod. Anyway, next we have a glow item frame. So let's say it's really dark somewhere and you still want to put in something inside of an item frame, but you want to work with the element of darkness as well. Well, that's still possible because you can now make item frames glow. So we can make it night real fast, and then you can see that these item frames will actually glow. So so if I set it midnight, then you'll be able to see that these do actually glow. And the cool thing is that they don't actually give off any, they don't give off light, they're just luminous. So these won't give off any light levels, so for example, they won't stop mobs spawning, although of course mobs cannot spawn on top of item frames, but they will just make the item inside the item frame more visible. Then of course we have the glow squid, which got voted for in the Minecon, in the 2020 Minecon. So yeah, that's that mob. Of course it is very ugly, stupid, and we hate it. And the lava shouldn't have turned to obsidian. There we go, that's better. The glow squid is absolute trash. No, just kidding, it's actually a pretty cool mob. I do not actually like it though. I don't really get the point of the glow squid, because it's technically the exact same as the squid, but then with a different texture. Now I do like the glow item frames and the glow ink sacks and stuff like that, and making text on signs. That's another feature. Making you can now make text on signs glow, but I don't really get the function of the overall glow squid as a mob. Then of course another thing you can pay attention to is the updated ore textures. So here we have the iron ore, but we can also grab some other ores, or we can just see right here in the creative inventory that the textures of all the overworld ores have been updated. And not only have the textures actually been updated, but there has also been new versions of the ore added. A deep slate version of the ore, and now if you go all the way down, like all the way down to, like, for example, Y level 0, then you might find some deep slate there. As you can see over here, here it is. And if there's going to be any ores generating inside of this deep slate, as you can see, those will have the deep slate ore textures. Now, what is this? This is for, of course, 1.18, where you can go to minus Y level 64, I believe, or minus Y level 60, and then that is going to be made out of deep slate instead of stone. Now, inside deep slate, you will find the deep slate ores. Now, another thing which could have also potentially been added in 1.16, but which I think is an absolutely amazing feature, is the smooth basalt, and that is just because I really adore this texture. I think that texture really is amazing. I am very happy with the smooth basalt. I think it's great. Anyway, then of course there's going to be a new biome, of course, and that biome is in 1.18 at least. It's the oh my god, I forgot the name now. Well, it's like the water caves, you know, the nature caves. Okay, I cannot think of the name. I'll probably think of it in a few seconds. Anyway, in these caves you can find moss. Now, with the moss come a bunch of other things as well, which can be obtained by bone mealing the moss, as you can see by these azalea plants and things like that. In 1.18, there will also be newly generating azalea trees. These will just have the dark oak. These will just have the oak logs, but they will generate with azalea leaves. And as you can see here, you can find azaleas when you bone meal this, and things like that. So these are a bunch of the new features, which include also the moss carpet, as you can see over here, and then these small azalea plants. Now, another thing is rooted dirt. Underneath this rooted dirt you can have some roots, and these will also be in the lush caves. Exactly, that's what they're called. They're called lush caves. Anyway, another variety to the brown blocks is the dripstone block, and of course the pointed dripstone as well. Now, what I've really just noticed here is that there's been like 2 added brown blocks, which could potentially also fit with the wax exposed copper, right? And I think that these 3 might fit really well together, and that you can make some really interesting block palettes using these 3 different blocks. So that'd be pretty cool. Anyway, you also have a block which is a big drip leaf, and this is mainly very interesting for parkour, because if you stand on it for too long, then it's just gonna tip, really. So yeah, that's how it works. It has really interesting mechanics, and of course it is rotational, as you can see. Anyway, that is really cool. Then you also have the spore blossom, which is a flower which will be able to be found in the lush caves, and this flower will emit particles. As you can see over here, it emits particles. And these particles are in a really big radius. So let's say you want to give sort of a magical feel to your builds in one way or another, then you can hang these there and maybe even hide them. You could just hide them if you don't want them to, if you don't want anyone to see them, but you will still be able to see the particles. As you can see over here, you can see the particles floating around, which is pretty cool, and it's a really nice feature to be able to have controlled particles in an area. Then you have the glow lichen, which pretty obviously glow, and are a really cool feature because these will be able to give light in caves and make some caves just a little bit less dark. Anyway, no mobs can spawn on these either, and a really cool combination that I saw someone use these in was if you have some gravel, just like this, and you make, for example, a path out of gravel, and then you put the glow lichen on top of it, and it's really cool because the mobs can spawn on top, and these 2 textures combined looks really awesome. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, another thing apart from the glowberries, which you can also find in caves, are apart from the glow lichen, which you can find in caves, are glow berries. And now these just look like this, but if you were to bone meal them, then they would grow berries. And now this makes it possible to actually possibly have like some sort of a challenge, because you know, like the challenges that you can do also maybe in hardcore, for example, surviving on an ocean or in the nether, but this could also be surviving only underground, and then you could live off of the glow berries, because these will generate in underground in worlds, and they're not very nutritious, but you can still eat it, and it also gives light, which just like the glow lichen is a very good way to just light up the caves a bit more and make them feel a bit less dark. Anyway, something else that you can craft with the copper over here is the spyglass, and I think that it is a really cool feature, which makes you actually see very far. The only thing is, of course, if you have your render distance short, like my render distance right now is it's 12 chunks, and I think that it would really only work better if you have your render distance, especially if you're in Minecraft Bedrock, set all the way up to 16 chunks. Now, of course, the reason why I don't have this all the time is because my computer can't handle it all too well. If I were to start flying around, you would just hear it make sounds like and yeah, that would be nice. Anyway, you can see so far that it's almost doesn't work well, if you get what I mean, because yeah, because of the fact that it exceeds the distance of how far you can actually render things in. Now, one little thing that's a little bit irritating about this is, as you can see, I can move my head around like this, but if I use a spyglass and I do that exact same thing, this is what I get, right? So especially if you want to rotate, then you're going to have to lift up your mouse multiple times to be able to rotate in a certain location. But I guess, you know, these items can't be all too overpowered, right? But it's really cool, because it could even be an item which could now be possibly even found in chests, for example, in Hunger Games. So you can sort of spy on people, because that's what the name says, isn't it? Like from over here, I couldn't see if someone was standing right there behind that tree, but if I look like this, then I would be able to see someone standing right over there. Anyway, now another really big change, which also sort of goes with the ore the textures of the ore changes, are the raw ores. Now you will get the raw ores if you mine iron, gold, or copper. Now, what this allows is you to get the raw ores, of course. You can craft blocks out of these. Now, I'm not really sure, especially not sure about the gold, if these are going to really be used in builds, because I don't like the look of these all too much. Another really big thing which these actually allow is you to be able to actually use the fortune enchantment on your iron and on your gold, which is a massive change, and is going to make, for example, the making of item sorters, sorting systems, and things like that a lot easier, because you can now use fortune on your iron, and smelting these will work the exact same as smelting the iron ore, which will just allow you to get one. But the thing is that you can get up to 4 of these, or even 5. I'm not entirely sure. If you have the Fortune 3 enchantment, which is really big. Another really cool thing is the tinted glass, and this is just glass which has a wonderful texture, by the way, but it doesn't actually let through any light. So if I were to just quickly build a cage out of this, then it's going to actually be Y level 0 in there, and the cage would be the exact same as what I would build with this, for example, a solid block right over here. So it's going to be really dark in there, and this could be something wonderful to be able to use for mob farms, for example. Now, the third mob which has been added in this update is the goat, and the goat lives up here in the mountains, and it's really nice, and they make a lot of noise, And there we go. Well, that's some goats for you. They can actually jump really high if you observe them for long enough, and they can also use their ram attack to launch you and other mobs off of cliffs, for example, or to just run into nothing or trees or something like that. Anyways, there has also been, of course, this was like, I believe the first feature that was actually added in this update was the amethyst geodes. Now these are just going to be clusters of amethyst, as you can see, and they will grow these amethyst clusters, and there's some really nice blocks with them, and of course, and they also make really awesome sounds. So if you listen really carefully, now I'm not entirely sure if you heard that so well, but they make really interesting sounds when placed. So yeah, that's really cool. And those are actually the only thing which have been added in the terrain generation, apart from, of course, the ore changes. Those have also been implemented. Oh, and the glow legend apparently as well. But anyway, it is actually possible to find those amethyst geodes in 1.17 caves. And whilst you're down here, you can actually see relatively how much light these glow legend actually give, because they actually really give a lot of light for when you're inside a cave. But if you're just at the surface, then it's not really gonna always seem like they actually give a lot of light. But really, they do. They really give a lot of light. And then finally, we have the powder snow, and this was also one of the really early features that has been added, and it's a really interesting one because it's technically like a block, but it's placed with a bucket. And anyway, it's sort of added, I made to add sort of a challenge to the mountains, and it could, for example, be hidden right over here with some. Wait, that's actually a way to spot this. I can't put any powder top snow on top of that. So if you're walking here, right, and then you see something like this, then you're gonna know that it's the powdered snow. And the only way you can actually get out is by digging the blocks next to it. And you will also be able to actually get freezing damage by standing inside this for too long. Anyway, that was that for me. If you want to see more videos like this, remember to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button as well. It really helps out a ton. And anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.